boldip.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bold Inventor Show. I'm your host, JD Houvener, with Matt Kulseth, as always. Hey, Matt.
Hey, what's going on, JD? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. Happy summer.
Happy summer. I just dropped the big kid off at camp a couple days ago, so we're down to one kid now, and we're dropping her off at camp in a couple weeks. So
got it. Matt, I don't know if it's my audio or you. I'm catching a little bit of, it's almost like we're underwater a little bit.
I am too. Let me, why don't you take over here, and I'll see about logging back in.
Okay, sounds good. Well, it's good to hear you're doing some camp stuff. We did some camp stuff too. Had all three of my kids over at the Gonzaga basketball camp. The women's team puts it on, so it was awesome to be out there 2 weeks ago. And they did great. It was not an overnight deal, but we went and dropped them off. So my wife and I got some lunchtime, some dates in there as well. So well, good. We got a bunch of guests backstage waiting. I'm excited to bring on inventor, entrepreneur Andrew Varner with iLevel. He was kind enough to actually send both Matt and I one of his products, the iLevel, weeks ago. I think Matt said he has used it, so I'm excited to hear his story. I've got it in my garage. I used it just to kind of play with it. Can't actually say I used it for any project, to be honest, but I'm excited to do that. So I want to hear the whole story. Andrew's invited his development team. I believe it's cardboard airplane. I got to make sure I get that right. And then a few others as well. Let's check and see. Cardboard helicopter. And then one of his other developers as well on the electronics. So what I want to do is let you guys know, our quick disclaimer is we're attorneys. I'm a patent attorney. Matt's a trademark attorney, but we're not giving any legal advice for you today. We're just talking about legal information, sharing knowledge about patents, trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets, and we're going to be doing a cool interview as I talked about before. So this is not attorney-client privilege by any means. We're live across LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and I welcome any and all live questions as we go. So I'll put our standard disclaimer here in just a little bit. And also I'll put a link in later if you have a confidential inquiry. Maybe you've got an invention or a trademark you want to get registered. I'll put a link here, our weekly live link, and you get a copy of the Bold Ideas book behind me for doing that. Matt, do you want to check your audio?
Yeah. So I've been listening to you, JD, and it's still popping when I'm on mute. So I'm wondering if it's on the mute side. Yeah, we're clean so far. Is it popping it all for you?
Oh, well, yeah, it was still popping when you talked.
Okay.
Hey, we're still figuring this whole thing out. And maybe it's...
What is this, year 2?
No, this is year 5, too. We've been doing this for, I think, 5 years. Legal notice. By 10 this broadcast, you are not a client yet of Bold. But I do encourage live questions. Good to see you, Jonathan, as always. Awesome to have you. I think without further ado, let's just bring on our guests. I'm not sure if we'll do the whole Brady bunch. This will be fun, see how many people we have on. But Andrew, welcome to the show.
Hey, can you hear me?
Sure can. I'm going to, I think we're good to go. A little audio popping here and there. So I may go on mute intermittently, but it's so good to have you on,
Thanks
Andrew.
for having me. You got it.
So you are the inventor of the iLevel, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Give us a 1-minute pitch. What is the iLevel?
The iLevel is a plumb level or carpenter's level or spirit level. And we've all seen these. We probably have, to each person in the country, there's probably 5 per household. Mine is just like that. The iLevel is just like that, with one very different twist, that the entire thing illuminates, the entire body of the level illuminates. And when it's level, it's green. And when it's close to level, it's yellow. And when it's not close, it's red. It's
dummy proof.
Yeah.
It's matte proof.
It'll do 0 degrees and 90 degrees. In fact, that's my elevator pitch. Do you want to see the demonstration?
You attach it to the metal in the elevator? Here's your elevator pitch. You just slap it on the wall.
Yeah, people streaming this can see it, but I don't know if the podcast viewers are going to want to go to the website. But you can see when I get level, it turns green. Is that coming through?
There it is. Yeah. So it turns kind of yellow, white, and then goes green when you hit level.
Yep.
Right there.
And it does it for both 90 and 0.
You've got the bubble backup, which is sort of
right.
You're going to have that to make sure you get the fine perfection.
Yeah,
bubble. That's great.
Well,
so green gets you close.
We kept the bubbles in it too because we just knew that people weren't going to trust just the color. So
that's fantastic. Well, I want to have the others here join because this is part of your story, and this is really what I want to share with the inventors out there listening live and even after our broadcast, of course. So let's bring everybody on. I don't see why not. Maybe you could bring us back to kind of the advent of this. We've got all 6 of us on. Maybe you could just introduce each person, and then they could chime in when appropriate.
From left to right, it looks like I got Tim over here on the left. Say hi, Tim.
Hey, guys.
So Tim and Carlo run a company here in town called Cardboard Helicopter, and they're brilliant. They bring ideas to life, and they've helped. It's been their services have been invaluable to my process, which we'll get into because it wasn't just the invention process; it was the process of taking it to the next level, taking it to companies to license, taking it to there's the website. They just know how to. They know how to make things sexy, and they've got a really good eye. You should if you're ever in Cleveland, you should go see their studio because they've just got an incredible design intuition, and so that's Carlo and Tim's company. And Jason came in pretty early on. I know I wasn't even. My patent hadn't even gone through yet. It was still in the stage of provisional. And I had already built myself a unit that doesn't – I actually got it working today. This thing hasn't been working in like maybe a year and a half. And I got it turned on, and it's probably not going to work. But
that's the OG? That's the first prototype?
This is the OG that I built with a 3D printer and a – little Arduino computer. And mind you, I don't have an engineering background or anything. I had a basic idea of how it should work. And I'm kind of handy with some rudimentary coding. And so like, well, let me see if I can get something going. And I knew going in, it wasn't going to be perfect, but instead of me talking about it all the time, let me see if I can build something that's close. And then once I knew it wasn't close.
Andrew, real quick, to tell us about that conception moment, with that light bulb moment. When was it? Did you know that this had to be created?
Yeah, I woke up. I literally woke up with it from a dream. I dreamt it.
No, really?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I was doing some home improvement at the time, and I guess I went to bed still thinking about home improvement stuff, and I dreamt it. And so I got up the next day, and I asked. Right in the morning, I called one of my buddies and I said, does this exist? I mean, it existed in my dream last night, but is this a thing? And he said, no, but it should be. And then I would, never having tried to secure a patent before and always being kind of creative, but not really an inventor yet. I just kept asking some people close to me and they said, no, but maybe you should look into that. So, one thing led to the next, and my patent attorney here in town introduced me to Jason and said he's got a shop in town. He would probably really get into this, and and we ended up making a pretty close to a prototype, pretty close to what is in stores today.
Wow! How did you make that first prototype? So you did that on your own initially, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what you used to get the initial. Did you file a provisional on that?
I filed a provisional on this, and I went through what I knew to be the proper channels to the proper steps to get to the next step, which is file for a utility. But even in that, there's a quite a long story as it pertains to just filing a utility patent. because we learned a lot in that process. Of course, this is all through COVID. And I think from start to finish, Jason and I worked on the better prototype version 2. I want to say, Jason, maybe correct me. I want to say it was over the course of maybe 2 years because COVID kind of slowed us down a little bit.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And
So
so
it's almost to your benefit that the examination took a while. It allowed you to develop the product more, perhaps get it refined before it got allowed.
We definitely changed some things along the way, and we changed some of the technical aspects. The sensor changed without getting all the. And Jason's going to be better at that, talking about the technical aspects of it. But we did change quite a bit in terms of the computer and the sensor. It wasn't the one we initially went with. The color changing method kind of changed along the way, but we ended up coming up with something that's pretty close to shelf ready.
Got it. So, Jason, would you mind introducing yourself? And are you with Cargo Helicopter, or are you with a different company?
Oh, sorry. I should have clarified that.
Oh, no worries. I'll try to keep it short here. My name is Jason Coher. I'm basically an electrical engineer by degree, but my arc of my career has taken me into like mechanical engineering and just general prototyping and creative solutions. So over 21 years, I've developed like a 5,000 square foot factory in Cleveland, Ohio. So basically anything it takes to prototype, I can pretty much do it here. Have tight manufacturing partners I send out to. I help folks like Andrew bring that first prototype, get it built and tested so we can start learning from it. Work closely with patent attorneys and industrial designers. Basically, I'm a prototyping guy. If there's something that another firm can't solve, usually large firms can't solve it, a lot of customers end up here, and we just really throw everything at it. Like, I'm not scared to try really crazy stuff, like stuff that ends up generating IP. And we certainly started that way. Andrew alluded to it. So we can go into that when the time comes. But yeah, basically just if it needs made, I figure it out. And my background's electronics, but it's not so much these days, but that's still squarely where I'm rooted at.
And you said Aqua Engineering, it's the name of your company?
Yeah, so it's Aqua Engineering. There's a bunch of Aqua Engineerings I later found out. So that's the engineering firm that I run. And then I have a company number 2 called Beryl CNC, Beryl. That's like a CNC add-on for lathes, perfect for prototyping. And then I have another startup called Promptly 3D, Promptly 3D.ai. That site's down for maintenance right now, but it's a text-to-CAD generative AI site we're bringing to market.
Busy guy. You got 3 companies. My goodness, I thought I was busy with what I got here at once. So.
Busy, yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. And I know we covered. So you were kind of the first point of contact for Andrew for kind of following the story along. So tell us kind of maybe that first hurdle you had to clear. Give us a little more nuance on what you had to solve. What was that problem?
Yeah, so we wanted to solve this and get IP. So we had to look at what was a realistic option for us to solve this. We couldn't necessarily do it the obvious ways, so we came up with a way that was very novel. We thought it was very novel, and that involved basically making like a micro machine, almost like a plumb bob, if you will. So essentially having a weight that could rotate around on like a jeweled mechanism, and then measure a magnet that was attached to that using a Hall sensor, like a rotary type of Hall sensor. So that was like, weird enough and out there enough that it should be super accurate if you could make that jeweled mechanism. And then certainly there'd be no like patent landscape that would exist for something like that, was our hope.
Gosh, I mean, with all the technology, I mean, this is COVID. I mean, plenty of robotics have been around. I mean, leveling.
Right.
So how different was this than the state of the art? What were some of did you lean on or stand on the shoulders of other technology to get to that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm sure we'll get into it in this conversation, but that's a mystery to me. That's something maybe you two can enlighten us on, because it seems that everything that you could think of has been done before. So then certainly the way I like to approach these things is to purposely, this could be wrong, it's just my opinion, but purposely not look at what's out there. So I feel like I generally land on wacky stuff, and then you guys can thread the needle and get that IP.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have the pleasure to do it myself, but I'd love to pull the patent up. I mean, we're talking this anyway. Andrew, do you have the patent number?
Oh, I should. I do somewhere. Let me find it.
Okay. We'll keep chatting, but if you can dig that up.
If not, I'm going to test JD's lawyering skills here to look it up.
I'm
Just,
I'm like trying to type it.
just don't bill me.
This is not legal. Like we're on air. And another invite I should offer anybody out there with questions or ideas. Maybe you're in a similar position where you're kind of where you're developing and trying to protect the patent. Feel free to jump in with any questions or anecdotes. Let's see if we can get this pulled up here. Andrew, did you assign the patent to a company?
No, it's just in my name. So you can search for just my name. Yeah, it's in here somewhere. It's buried. I just 6 months ago, the patent office sent me a nice folder with the presentation and everything. I thought they forgot about me.
Oh no.
But those just come later. They're a little backed up.
They are, yeah, and they've been having trouble with funding and all that with current administration and whatnot.
Yeah.
Question for the patent attorneys: what if you guys pull this up and see something you don't agree is watertight?
Hey.
Sorry, if we pull it up and see what?
What if you see something here that you think is not watertight or valid per the USPTO? The fact that they already granted us. I mean, nobody has to know, right?
We're not.
Hey.
I'm not going to offer any opinions on air necessarily, but I think that's what I wanted to pull up is basically see what got issued, and for the general audience, people don't always know this, but what you actually own is the written numbered set of claims at the bottom of the patent,
Sure.
not the design, the drawings, or what could be 10 or 20, 30 pages of writing. You actually own the numbered set of claims with different clauses and provisions there. So we can take a look at that if we get the patent number pulled up. But let's talk about it. When we get that. I when you showed it off, it didn't say iLevel on it, right? It said Frank.
I think I have it here for you, JD.
You got it, Matt? Look at you.
Yep, it's in your Google chat.
Okay. Well, here we go. Okay.
Fresh on my hands.
Level.
Yep.
Okay. So we got this. Okay, this is the PCT one. So you filed a WIPO app and had this sent over. This is not the US one, but we'll pull it up.
Oh, here's the US one.
There's both. We have both on there.
There's the second one there for you. There's the US
and
one.
also patent pending EU and also Australia.
Oh, there we go. Down under. Okay, so all right, let's pull it because we were talking about it. Let me share my screen here. Let's look at this darn thing. This is patent number 11,852,503 to Mr. Andrew Neil Varner of Cleveland, Ohio, and issued just a couple years ago.
Yep.
Almost just after Christmas.
Nice.
Present.
That's right. No, it was January. Yeah, January. 2023.
This is December. Issued December 23.
December.
So
okay. Yeah, that's right. That sounds about right.
So it claims to a provisional you filed back in 2019. So you've got that priority date. And so some really good looking drawings here. I don't know if anybody on the call here helped you with these or if it was all done by the patents drafter.
That was another firm actually that they ended up folding before ever providing. These are the drawings that Jason made here, but
okay, these ones here, figure 7.
Ones that don't look as good.
So we're looking at kind of a exploded view of the iLevel. We can come back to that. I want to just take a real quick nerdy look at the claims.
Sure.
At the bottom, this is if you're ever looking to see what someone owns on a patent, you have to find what is claimed is. And you've got, I'd love to see that's a nice, short, clean 3-element set, a linearly elongated, partially translucent housing, one orientation indicator. I like how generic that is. So you could use magnets, you could use whatever, right?
That's right.
Orientation indicator is super cool. A plurality of light emitting diodes. So that is specific to one type of bulb, but I think there's lots of different LEDs out there. And even an operation controlled by a microprocessor. Really cool. This seems quite broad. It'd be hard to get around using an LED in any fashion to accomplish this.
Or
I guess if
any
they wanted
color,
like an
right?
incandescent bulb, they,
Yeah.
they could, but yeah, that'd be pretty clunky.
It
Pretty
just
cool,
eats batteries.
right? That's
And
awesome.
also in there too, not to interrupt, but we tried to make it generic enough to where it doesn't matter what color the LEDs are. It doesn't even matter what the nature of the action of the LEDs. Initially, I thought it would blink and I thought it would strobe. And Jason and I built a prototype where it strobed, and it was really disorienting. We had to pivot.
Yeah.
You
Right.
don't think about it, because in my dream, when I dreamt it, it did strobe. And in your mind, if you imagine that, it doesn't really bug you. But when your eyeballs look at that, it bugs you. So we had to go back to the drawing board.
That's fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a long time. I haven't heard a lot of that truly invented during a dream. I mean, it was really, we should add a co-inventor, Andrew Varner's subconscious, It's pretty cool, right? So tell us more about the development. So I want to hear more about this magnet, this magnet system you created. Did you have to test it? How did you move forward and do that and actually build it out, Jason?
Yeah, so we started with a prototype that was a very small machined, almost like a brass tube that was brazed together with that jeweled mechanism in it. So we had to source these jewels, and I'm not a watchmaker, so clearly there's a whole industry that's very specific in watchmaking. That's what we were trying to draw from. But being able to get to that level of low friction, like you would have in a kinetic energy generating watch, to get that in this small form factor was a challenge for the prototype. We got something that was pretty close, and the hope was we could go offshore and find a large company manufacturer that has done this, a million times in a month on a very low cost jeweled mechanism that would go into watches. Well, we had challenges finding that fit with the manufacturer. So we basically made one here, made a couple of them here, used jewels we found on eBay and various places. It's even hard to get those jewels sometimes. So basically like a little, I believe it's like a garnet or a sapphire that's like a little tiny bearing. So then you have to put a little cone that interfaces with that, and the point of contact is super small so that you can actually have very low friction on there.
So it is an actual gem. There's a jewel in that thing.
Yeah, because you got a very low friction surface, right? So gemstones tend to have a very, very sapphire. Some of those ruby have very, very hard surfaces. So the harder you get, the lower the friction. Usually, is how that works.
That's awesome. As you were doing, I kind of get into that. I mean, my mind goes to, does this have other applications?
Absolutely.
Beyond a level. And have you implemented any of those? You obviously don't need to share anything confidential, or have you moved forward with any cases, products that might
I have
benefit?
I have another patent filed.
Okay. Not on a level, different tool, or totally different.
Same industry. The novel art is quite a bit different though, but using some of the same principles.
That's fantastic. Ken, I got to ask this. This might get a little personal. Usually, what I do is I'll recommend to inventors, if they're going to hire a engineer, R&D, product development expert, that they get a contract in place, and in there usually are clauses regarding, hey, who owns what as the product gets developed. Did you and Jason have something written down ahead of time, deciding and talking about ownership of these types of, call it inventions, trade secrets that get developed in the actual making of the widget?
Jason was great right off the bat. He said, this is the contract. Here's a scope of work. Here's what I'm going to work on. But this is yours.
Yes.
And I think we even had that discussion where, like, Jason, do you want to come on as a co-inventor? Because we might be going through a lot of development stages that maybe I don't deserve all the credit for. And it hasn't really come to that. And this isn't the only project. I brought it to both Cardboard Helicopter and Jason. And they work together, too, by the way, on a lot of different projects that I'm not even involved with. But there are some other things in the works, too, that so far, it's just been really a contract by contract basis relationship.
That's great. Well, it's good to hear. It sounds like he's one of those good guys that truly is there to call it more. And I think the term is work for hire. You've hired him to perform this thing. The person hiring him owns all of the IP that gets created by it. And so it sounds like a very good deal. And I'm glad you had a contract in place and ongoing. So there are some designers, engineers, tinkers that you hire them and they might get tricky. They might try to claim some ownership down the road. So it's always good to have things written down ahead of time.
PD, on that note, when some of those first industrial drawings that you saw, that was a company that doesn't exist anymore, and that was part of the deal.
Okay.
We never fulfilled the contract because they went out of business, but in the end, I'm glad that it didn't work out.
Yeah. So they took a little equity, or they took some type of ownership of the patent.
The deal was they were not the patent, but they were going to take equity of the business that we created together.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. So let's bring in the other guys into the call. So when did Cardboard Helicopter come into the sort of the timeline here?
Kind of early on. I think I can't remember exactly who met who first, but we were talking from very early stages before I had my really nice brick that I made on my 3D printer. But what was really pivotal for me and was useful for the development of this product, when I started talking to manufacturers about potentially licensing it, I needed to give them a better vision of what that is. So, what might be nice, and Carlo or Tim, I don't know if you have some of those. I'm sure I could find them. They're buried somewhere on my computer, but they not to mention any names other than Franklin Sensors, but I was talking to a couple of different brands, and they went in and basically created a sketch with the branded company right on the image to kind of seduce them a little bit to imagine what it would be.
Yeah,
it was the one just like kind of like what we built, and they just kind of put their own spin on it, and it really helped. It helped me get my foot in the door with some of these companies that needed to take me a little bit more seriously, because I'm not in this game. I'm pushing my way into it, and so I needed them to be able to have the vision of what this could possibly be. And it in the end, it worked. And this is what they do all the time. They put a really bold spin on ideas.
Got it. So you came to them with a a functional, call it, product, and
Right.
you needed to get it in a position to where it could just look sexy, look really good, and sell to kind of whoever you're trying to pitch to.
Exactly.
Large, medium. So talk to us about that journey, because that's actually something we're just now starting at Bold, is I call it IP brokering, basically finding our clients, our inventors, deals, whether it be a licensing deal or a sale. Did you do it on your own, or did you hire someone to help you find Franklin or others like them to try to push the product?
I just kept knocking on doors, and when someone would tell me no, I run into a lot of inventors now where they're afraid to hear no. And what I'm telling young inventors is, don't be afraid to hear no. That's actually a good thing. It just eliminated one possibility you didn't need. So just go on to the next one. Now you're getting closer, essentially.
That's awesome, dude. Very. So you were going to make this happen no matter what.
Whether I was going to launch a company on my own and manufacture it myself, I was going to need Cardboard Helicopter, and I was going to need Jason regardless. But I was keeping the door open to possibly a larger company that could run with this. If it's perfect for them to license it, maybe I should take that route. And in this case, I did. And after knocking on several doors, and finding Franklin Sensors eventually, actually a guy that I ran into who is part of my company now, he went to church with the owner of Franklin Sensors. And he said that I know who this is perfect for. And so that relationship took a year or more. Yeah, a little over a year. And I ended up signing a licensing deal with them before even winning the patent.
Wow, that's awesome. So they took the risk. I imagine you probably were past some point of review with the examiner, or were they really?
Definitely. We were just waiting for the patent office.
So it was notice of allowance. They were basically there.
Yeah.
Got it. You did. You were just kind of leaning in toward the finish line.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's take a quick look at the product. I mean, if you go to iLevelTool.com, it will forward to Franklin's website.
Franklin's website.
This is their 12-inch level right here.
Yeah.
And they're calling it the 12-inch light level instead of the iLevel. Is there a reason why they didn't like the name iLevel?
They have it on several packages. I also have the name iLevel trademarked. And so they weren't initially using it for any of their marketing, but now on some packages, and that's required, I need to have it on packages. And so one of their packages that they use for Amazon and for online, and I don't think I have an example of the package here, but it does say iLevel. So they're kind of playing, because this is so new. This only just came out less than a year ago on Amazon. It just launched.
That's cool. It was pretty fresh. Okay.
It took them 2 years to develop their version, and then it hit Amazon last August. So they're still playing around with how they want to use the word, but I've secured iLevel along with that license agreement. They have license to use that trademark.
It's
Matt,
really
can you
cool,
talk about trademarks? Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to jump in looking at your Franklin Sensors page. I mean, it looks like 3,000 of these things were bought in the last month, 3,000 plus, which that's a lot of products, ladies and gentlemen. That's a lot. So cool. Congrats. Very, very, very cool.
Thank you. I'm trying to find that document, and maybe, I don't know, Carlo or Sam, if you found it, I could take some more digging. How I was able to foster that relationship, Cardboard Helicopter helped me with the visualizations for that.
Kind of like the fancy one pagers, kind of that glossy.
Yeah.
I'd love to show that off and see what Carlo and Tim came up with. If you guys have that, be happy to pull it up.
Maybe they can. Carlo and Tim, you want to add any? Do you remember anything about that time, that process?
Yeah, the initial one. Trying to see if we did it, if that was to the final version and we started putting that on, or if it was early on. Because I know we went through an industrial design phase.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
So, Andrew, can you talk about that licensing agreement? I'm not sure if any of it's confidential, of course, but I'm curious. Did you do an exclusive deal with Franklin? Are you allowed to say that, or is it?
I can say that. I can share some of it. The way it worked out, there's really three key pieces. Was number one, I gave them a 2-year runway where they didn't have to owe me any royalties while they developed it.
Okay.
So after that 2 years was up, then a royalty piece came in. And then on top of that, there was a minimum, too, that we built into the contract that you're going to have to meet a certain dollar in sales amount every year, whether you hit that percentage of royalty piece, whether you hit there was a minimum no matter what. It's called an anti-shelving clause. I'm sure you work with that. And in the language, it basically states no matter how many pieces you sell, there's a minimum here. And it gradually goes up year over year.
Yep.
And obviously we'll exceed that probably next year. That
wow.
minimum.
Okay. And that's well within that 2-year period. So they kind of jumped on it. They didn't wait around too long to develop it.
It was 2 years. Just to clarify, it's been over 2 years since I signed that contract with them.
Oh, okay, got it.
They were able to launch that product about 2 months before that 2 years was up.
Okay, so they did take quite a bit of time to get it down. Were they trying to drive the costs, I imagine, and the materials down, get the tooling set up overseas?
And they did some things too with their finished product that actually the one that Jason and I built, it has a couple different features that theirs doesn't have. And so they were trying to figure out what makes sense for us, what kind of product do we actually want to launch. Because it's not an exact version, it's just really close.
Yeah, That's cool. Well, I'm always looking at, what's next, what's the long-term plan. It looks like, Franklin Sensors does have kind of their stud finders is where they have currently, right? They've got a bunch of them out, like at Home Depot, and they include a leveling portion on there.
Yeah,
It's probably going to fit into that line, right?
that's how they started. They were almost an exclusive, just stud finders company.
Right. Yeah.
And they told me really early on, they said, yeah, we've been looking to get into the leveling business. So we like it.
Yep. That's awesome. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Good. Let's see, Matt, anything to mention on the trademark side? Maybe walk us through what you see if you have it pulled up.
Yeah, I haven't pulled anything up here, but let me run a quick search at the USPTO for iLevel and just see what we got.
And then Andrew, on the licensing deal, I forget exactly what you said, but you licensed obviously the patent. Did you also license the trademark, or was it just the patent?
Yeah, the trademark, that's pretty early. We were waiting to see what Franklin Sensors was going to do with it, but I could probably find the receipt. I don't know if it's going to show up in databases though. It's been that recent.
Oh, okay, real recent. Okay, got it.
Can I jump in on that? I have actually a question about that. Don't you have to use it for a year before you can even really file? So it's kind of a tricky thing. Maybe the two patent attorneys could enlighten the rest of us on how you're really supposed to approach that.
You're talking trademarks?
Yeah, trademark.
Matt, I'll let you take that.
Yeah, so a couple different options, Jason. Typically, for clients going to market with a specific product in mind, they can file what's called an intent to use application, which holds their spot in line at the government while they get up and running, go to market.
Okay.
So that's what we typically encourage clients to file if they're going through a pretty sophisticated process, like the one that you, Tim, and Carlo put Andrew through. That'd be a good fit for that. But we've typically filed an intent to use application, but the trademark will only register after we submit proof of use to the government. Right. So we have to go to market to get the registration ultimately.
Yeah, that makes sense. Basically my lawyer came to me, my guys came to me, what was it, 2 months ago, and said, hey, we really need to show that you're using this. You're going to lose it.
Yeah, that's usually the email I'm sending out to clients.
Yep.
Cool.
Where are
That's
these
the statement of use, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And Matt, real quick, what qualifies? I mean, just a website, or do you have to show somewhere?
It depends on if it's a product or a service. But for a product, for example, typically if I was the attorney of record on this application, I would just take a screenshot of either the Amazon page or the Franklin website page where you can order the product. So it's a screenshot of the cart with the product there.
Cart. You gotta have the cart. Yeah, the ability to actually buy the thing.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
In the old days, it's a picture on the shelf.
Okay. Yeah, of course. How about Canada? I remember you talking about Australia. Did you protect in the Great White North?
That one's pretty recent too. And since signing the license agreement, with Franklin Sensors, we've expanded it to Europe, much of Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and most of South America.
That's awesome. And I imagine they've got markets there. They
have markets there. They already have a really good presence in Australia with their stud finders.
Yeah.
And what we found with Europe is going to be interesting because people build different ways all over the world. So they didn't have a lot of success with stud finders in Europe, but they're betting that levels is going to be a bigger market.
Cool. That's great. Yeah. Well, I mean, and so kudos to your patent attorney for filing that PCT, recommending that you get that international placeholder filed. A lot of our inventors are like, the $2 or $3 or $4 grand in admin fees, to get that filed. But it seems like it's, in your case, been a home run to be able to have that reason why maybe Franklin was like, okay, we can go worldwide to all of our different markets because of that.
Yeah. And just having them to understand that the potential of it was a job in itself. Actually, I found, I don't know if I can share this with you, but I have some 3D concepts that Cardboard Helicopter came up with. I don't know if I can share that with you.
You might be able to, the bottom center of your screen, you see a plus, see if you can share a screen.
Present? Yep. Okay, let's see.
And JD, while Andrew's pulling that up, he does have a trademark register or application for iLevel, and
Oh, okay.
his attorney of record just submitted the proof of use a couple weeks ago. So
Cool.
trademark should register hopefully in the next couple months.
Fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
Good.
Here, why don't I just send this to you? It's asking for.
Yeah. Send it over. We got 10, 15 minutes. We need to.
And I sent over a one pager as well, showing the evolution of the concept to your emails.
Okay. Oh, cool. Here we go. You want to show that one first? Is that all right if I pull that up?
Yeah.
Let me do this. Okay. So Andrew, we're going to show Carlos one pager.
Okay.
Real quick here. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So walk us through. What are you looking at?
Oh, yeah. I'll let you guys take that away.
Yeah, so we always start at a 2D level. Sometimes, no pun intended. I know we've had that joke for a while. But start at thought sketches, really thinking it out. Obviously, usually we're starting with a lot of inventors and companies where they don't have anything yet, but he already had something developed. So we really wanted to make it, more usable, marketable, manufacturable, remove some of that thick plastic as well. So I'll always start with, a page of sketches, thumbnails, maybe 5 pages of those, and quickly select from those. That top left one, just one of many, many little small drawings. Then we'll start to refine those. This is actually a page of pretty refined drawings and 3D renderings. And obviously they didn't use some of these things, some of these overmolds and things like that. These are some variations, but, really getting out of that initial just circle and ellipse to get, more into that angular, more rugged feel, as, a lot of people in the industry kind of want to have a little bit of a tool-like product. So just all those little, details and bezels and little chamfers and things like that we thought that would be interesting. But yeah, those are starting off. We do 2D. A lot of we're just doing pen, pencil, marker. We do like some digital sketching, throw that into 3D modeling, and then render those in KeyShot, play around with different colors and effects, and really kept just trying to think about how this would look, opaque, non-opaque material, how to hide those batteries and all the little circuit boards, essentially, with that little centerpiece, that little real estate, essentially for the logo. That's where we kind of started to throw other people's name in there, or if it was like a white label, iLevel, essentially.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, JD, check your email. I just sent a file over to you. It goes into a lot more detail into. It's almost an entire brochure of 3D concepts.
Cool. Let's take a look.
And it was for the first time we were like, okay, this is going to look really cool on a shelf someday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at that.
And while it's not exactly what's, like Tim was saying, Franklin Sensors didn't run with, all these ideas, but they certainly took some. One of those being that mine had three bubbles with a 45 degree, and they only ended up doing the 0 and the 90. But a lot of other things like concealing the battery, things like that was, they ran with that. The pipe fitting group, we're getting into some really geeky stuff, I know, but there's a magnet in there. There's a pipe groove. They ended up doing the pipe groove too.
Well, I imagine, once they prove out sales on this, call it version 1, they're going to have the deluxe and the pro version where I think some of these could come into play, right?
Yeah, they're already working on a completely different product that uses my IP, but it won't look like this.
Oh, this is great. But so this is, you think, what led to the deal? Aside from, of course, having that personal relationship, at church, but this is going to be the business kicker.
It sure helped. and they're based out of Idaho, and a couple of dinners, and I even had to sort of woo them with my piano playing. So, but this
Nice.
definitely helped. I mean, you take a look at this, and it just pops into reality. If you can get a company like Cardboard Helicopter to make something look this good, I mean, it takes the idea into almost complete reality. The finished product is right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think something that Andrew did really well that helped us and helped himself was he just wasn't afraid to tinker on his own, as he mentioned, and, explore potential solutions before jumping too far into development, which, really helped streamline the process. It reduced cost, and I'm sure he learned a ton. But I think it was a major factor in his success to be able to do some of that legwork and not be afraid to knock on some doors, pick up the phone, keep looking for yes answers and not being afraid of rejection. I mean, that was, I think, a huge lesson for any entrepreneur or inventor who's just getting started. So yeah, huge factor in this product being successful.
Fantastic. Well, I know this is still, like it's just over almost 2 years past issuance, but have you seen any infringers? Have you seen anybody else trying to rip this off? And are you?
No, not yet. Knock on every piece of wood in this office, but we did go. I think I can share this because it ended up working out. Franklin Sensors has another product, another level.
Okay.
Initially, I thought, well, that's mine. Well, after looking at the language and looking how they developed another level, because they have a product line now. It's not just this one that they're featuring. They have an entire product line. Okay. And it does operate a little differently. So it wasn't really, it didn't work out from a legal standpoint of being infringement, but they wanted to have something that was a little bit different. I don't think it was a selfish thing. I think it was just a matter of having something that's going to be, when you're in the space, when you're in the DIY world, you got to have that rugged and durability standpoint is so important. And they wanted to create something that was going to have that. Now they're in the works of potentially making a larger version of the one that features my IP, but this is another. It's not a ripoff because it's not quite the same thing, but one that entirely the entire translucent body glows and changes colors. That's what my IP addresses, and that's not what their other pieces did. Now, going and seeing a overseas knockoff, I haven't seen it yet, but I've been told it's only a matter of time. So
right, and sometimes in those licensing deals, if you're going exclusive, you can actually have that licensee fight with you or be required to go after infringers. So some of that can sort of give you some relief, if you will, because they're not going to want infringers either. So it's sort of an onus on them. Well, fantastic. Okay, and it's good to hear you're on to invention number 2, as well as as you probably are going to continue down this route. I was asked in the last little bit of the episode if you could offer advice, to someone who's just getting started. Looking back, what would you have done differently? What are some big things, kind of hindsight, that you would have changed or done differently?
The one thing I did say earlier: never take no for. Take people seriously when they are saying no, but don't let it affect your path forward. And also, sometimes don't take no for an answer, because Franklin Sensors did tell me no initially, and I wasn't, I try not to come across as too aggressive, but I just kept, emailing them every couple of months. Have you changed your mind yet? You didn't give me a complete no, but it wasn't a complete yes. Don't close those doors and don't give up. And the other thing is, don't let someone take advantage of you either. There's a lot of people in this industry that, just like any other kind of creative industry, where there's a lot of people who are taking advantage of could have been a person like me who didn't know what I was talking about. And so I tried to surround myself with people who knew more than me and weren't out to get my money just to give me the answer. Does that make sense?
Yes. I mean, as an inventor, as a dreamer, you tend to be vulnerable because your heart's in it, Yeah, you're right. I think that's something that this industry, invention industry, I think is pretty well known. There's been some, I won't name names, but companies out there that are not so reputable that have really, I think, preyed on that type of individual. And so, yeah, I think it's a great piece of advice to really surround yourself with individuals that are smarter than yourself and honest, fee for service, not going
Like
to take.
everybody on this call, everybody that I wasn't afraid. I think I told them all at one point, I'm like, listen, I'm not afraid to be the dumb guy in the room. That's okay. If I need to learn something and kind of tweak it, don't be so in love with the idea that it gets lost in the sauce, because there can be some really, like the thing that Jason and I were talking about earlier, we had to tweak it a little bit. It didn't come out initially. The finished product wasn't initially like I thought, but there was still something there. So luckily I had these guys around me to tell me, like, listen, you just need to tweak it a little bit. This is how it's going to work better.
That's great. Well, thank you, Andrew. Carlo, Tim, any final words, any words of wisdom, thoughts here as we close up Cardboard Helicopter?
Yeah, I think years ago, I remember a mentor told me that to get product license, the farther it is along from A to Z, closer to Z, the more percentage of success you're going to have. So I think going through the whole process, Andrew was really good at saying, yeah, I want industrial design. I want to go through 8 concepts and refinement. It wasn't just, that's my idea, 3D print it. We've dealt with that a lot with some inventors in the past, but I think that's just very important. And, sometimes being a little lean, as an inventor, you got low budget. So sometimes you can do a la carte. Like you went to Jason, expert in there, they're focused. It's not just a full legacy firm. We're very focused front end, do a little mechanical engineer. So trying to just adapt, and things like that. But I also want to say I love your logo. I think it's really fresh, and I think it's refreshing for patents. Usually it's generally like a very stale kind of
last
thing.
name type of thing. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Matt, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I think I'll add just, timing on pursuing legal protection, I think is important. Obviously identify a good legal team or patent attorney, but, sometimes you patent something too soon and you might end up protecting a version that changes as the development progresses. And you might end up, your original patent might be incomplete or obsolete. And I think focus on developing and refining your idea. And once the core concept is solid and manufacturable, I think then that's a good time to really start to, put some protection behind it. So you're not protecting something that's, version 1 and we're on version 5.0 now,
100% touchdown. What you said, Carlo, that's huge. That's so good. Yeah, it's unfortunate sometimes if you file too quickly, too earlier on, you end up getting a patent that doesn't match what you're trying to sell. What you ended up actually figuring out, this is what the market wants, and you no longer actually have a patent that protects you for that. So yeah, love that comment. Jason, how about you? Any final words of wisdom to part with?
Yeah, maybe some just general wisdom from 21 years. Microcontrollers have gotten super inexpensive and tiny, and then increasingly there's development boards that are off the shelf for almost anything you could want to do. So it used to be that we had to spend $1,200 per shot, custom PCB, no matter what. And even since I work with Andrew, like nowadays you can really stick a lot of stuff, like this little ESP32 board here. They make a little one called a Zhao that's like, the size of a piece of this board. It's like, there's some that are under $5. Like you can do so much with those and put them into a 3D print or a small machine part. And if you can keep your whole assembly size physically small, you can really start to attack some of these prototypes for very affordably, right? So maybe it's just something you can put on a credit card, even if you're willing to risk that. But it's not like the old days where it was 6 figures to bring something to the first prototype. Like I think now you can really spin many different iterations for a very affordable amount, and then that can generate intellectual property, can do the whole thing, pull it all together, come up with your brand, and everything can sort of lock into like that first couple prototypes that you build that really prove out the concept. And you'll learn so much along the way that you can sort of fail small and learn, and not have to just have everything be a concept until you fall on your face when it's like too big to control.
Oh, it's fantastic. Very, very cool. Well, last couple minutes here, are you all okay if I share email addresses? If anybody now or watching it after on the replay can get hold of you, is it okay if I do that?
Of course.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Jason, you're good? Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, fireworks, Andrew. There you go. Boom.
Did I just invent that too?
Yeah, if you're on your iPhone, will do that, I think. Yeah. Are you dreaming? You fell asleep. Okay. Well, it's been such a pleasure having you on, Andrew, and your whole team here. For Matt, myself, and the Bold team, it's been a great interview, and we'll go and wrap up. Wish you guys a great rest of your day. Stay on after we wrap up. We'll do a quick wrap up with us. But for all those out there, have a great day. Go big. Go bold.
Thank you.
Adios.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go big. Go bold at boldip.com.